Welcome to Step by Step, a video Bible study series presented by the Monte Vista Church of Christ in Phoenix, Arizona. On this episode, Ryan Goodwin talks about the busyness of our life and the important need to take a little bit of time alone.
If you've got a Bible handy, open up to the Gospel of Luke, to Luke chapter 10, beginning in verse 38. Now, as they were traveling along, he entered a certain village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. And she had a sister called Mary, who, moreover, was listening to the Lord's words seated at his feet. But Martha was distracted with all of her preparations, and she came up to him and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving alone? Then tell her to help me." But in verse 41, the Lord answered and said to her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and bothered about so many things, but only a few things are necessary. Really, only one. For Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken away from her." Anybody who knows me very well knows that I can sympathize with Martha in this story. I'm a very busy person. I like having things just so. I'm very tidy, very organized, and I love to host, but when I do, I want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So it's very hard for people like me, or like Martha here in the Gospel of Luke, to understand why people would waste their time in idle pursuits. I'll give you a couple of examples. How about having longer conversations with people instead of idle chit-chat or small talk? See, I'm the kind of person that I want to get to the end of the story real quickly so that we can move on and get back to work. How about going out to dinner and staying well after the check has already arrived? How about turning off your cell phone so that you can spend time with your family or have a conversation that's uninterrupted? And it bothers us when people do that because we want them to be accessible. We want them to be at our beck and call. How about people who politely decline opportunities to go out on a Friday night or to take extra hours for overtime? And we wonder, how crazy do you have to be to not want to work more? Now, for someone like Martha in our story, it was difficult for her to see how Jesus could approve of her sister's behavior. All she saw was Mary not helping. She never saw that Mary was learning, that Mary was growing, that Mary was building a relationship with her Lord. Similarly, we complain when our relationships get strained just because we can't comprehend any of the benefits that come along with a slower or more purposeful life. Like Martha, we're so busy all the time. We try to rush through our conversations in order to make it to the next activity. We divide almost everything into half-hour or hour-long chunks of time, just like a TV show. And we don't like it when something that we've scheduled kind of goes over that half-hour or that hour-long window. But I wonder, what if your child needs more than the time that you've allotted to him or her? What if your spouse needs more time than what you've allotted to him or her? What if there's something in the church that requires your attention, perhaps a charitable activity, or an opportunity to step in and help somebody with a personal problem? Well, what if I didn't schedule that? Why do we hate downtime so much? Why do we love to fill our lives with so much activity that it seems like we don't have the flexibility or the ability at all to change those plans and make room for things that might actually be more important? We spin our wheels trying to find meaning and contentment and accomplishment only to discover that nothing can fill the void that's left by God. Somebody once said that he tried to be alone with his thoughts, but he realized he didn't have very many. And I think that's kind of what happens to us. If we don't fill our lives with busyness and activity and more work and more this and more that and hobbies and TV shows, and all we're left with is just self-reflection, or even worse, prayer or meditation, we don't always like what we find. we don't always like what we discover. When you look at the life of Jesus, he took time out of his day to be alone with his thoughts in prayer and meditation. Now, I know that a number of texts explain that it was for prayer and meditation, but part of me wonders if sometimes Jesus just needed to be alone just for the sake of being alone. Several different scriptures show that in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13, or Mark 1, verse 35, or Luke 5 and verse 16. But very few people in our culture are comfortable being alone at all, let alone praying. What's so bad about being alone? Or not having an activity planned every single moment of the day? What are you hiding from? What are you feeling guilty about? What do you worry that you're going to discover during those times of reflection and meditation and prayer? Let me give you a few things as we wrap this up. First of all, time alone, or at least downtime, forces us to confront the things that we really think. When mine is the only voice that I hear, I'm able to explore my thoughts and my thinking on relationships and spirituality. But second, time alone helps me work on focusing on one thought for more than just a few moments at a time. Take a look at Psalm 119, for example. In Psalm 119, verse 97, it says, "Oh, how I love thy law! It is my meditation all the day." When was the last time you were able to meditate on anything all day long, let alone the Word of God? In Psalm 119, verse 99, it says, "I have more insight than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation." So when I'm alone, I'm able to practice exploring an opinion without anybody else's interference. And third, another benefit to having a little bit more downtime in your life is that you can be flexible with the things that really matter. It gives you a chance to help others when the need arises. It gives you a chance to be more flexible with your kids or your spouse. It gives you the freedom to pray as long as you need to pray, not as long as you've scheduled yourself to pray. Unfortunately, we're all too busy. We're too busy heading to work. We're too busy at work. We're too busy with homework. We're too busy with yard work. We are too busy with the work of this world to see that there is real, God-ordained work that we might be neglecting every single day. Getting back to our story from the Gospel of Luke, I wonder if Jesus came into our homes and looked at the way that we lived our lives, how busy we are, how full our calendars are. Would we be too worried about getting chips and salsa ready for Jesus that we wouldn't have the time to sit down and listen to what Jesus had to say to us? So maybe it's time to take a cue from Jesus and spend some more time in prayer and meditation, a little bit more downtime to let God into our lives.
Thanks for watching. For online Bible study material, or to find more episodes in this series, visit us on our website at montevista.church.